Compliance with an armed robber is an option, but it does not guarantee you won't get hurt. Thank you for joining us on today's Active Self-Protection lesson. I'm your host, as well as the founder here at Active Self-Protection, John Correa. Today's video, we actually have two videos. One, I'm not positive where it comes from. The second one out of Houston, Texas in the US. Today's video is brought to you by the generosity of Newbold targets. Newbold targets are self-sealing reactive polymer targets that act like steel targets for training and practice, but are safer than steel. They allow bullets to pass completely through the target without ricochet or lead splatter. Check out their links in the description and thank them for bringing us today's video. In this first one, our dude is just bebopping, looking at his phone, whatever. When he sees a car approaching, he tries to put the phone away, but that car is filled with a bunch of dudes who are looking for a victim. And so they come up, snag his phone. Now they're gonna shake him down. Like they went and looked in his front pockets, on his waist. They're looking on his back pocket, seeing if he's got a gun or anything like that would be my guess. Now they're gonna, kind of walk him as he's gonna go and sit down. But this guy in white doesn't like it. It smacks him upside the head for his hubris of I'm not sure what, whether he said something to him or just didn't like the way that the look on his face or whatever. They're gonna shake down the other little extra stuff there. Looks like he got a little kick on the end there. But then these guys are gonna have enough of him. They've taken what they can and they are gonna drive off, and our victim on the first one is able to walk off. Second one, dude just walks up, grabs the guy's phone, and when the guy's like, hey man, that's my phone, he punches him in the face and punches him a second time before he runs off. We wanna see it one more time, just how much this guy just strong arm robs him. And when the guy's like, hey man, that's mine, he's not having it, punches him right in the face, punches him a second time and walks off. We got a lot to learn on these two. Serious stuff for sure. If you want to get better with your self-defense, you can join us as we travel the country on what we call our Cover Your Asp tour. We travel all over the US, teaching handgun skills, church safety, seminars, do all kinds of stuff. Hit the link in the description and it'll take you to our website to tell us when we'll be in your area, and we would love to train with you. Let's think about today's videos. First one's got a lot of lessons about pre-attack stuff. Notice a couple things on this one. Number one, our victim here has his cell phone out and in his hand. I get it, it's 2020 and that's what we do these days, but I'd recommend that when you're in public, you put your phone in your pocket. When you're on your phone like this, you're flashing to the world that you have valuables. Look, I've got this $1,000 pocket supercomputer that is really easy for you to sell. Number two, look at the area that he's in. He's in a quiet area, but that means an isolated area, which means that if a bad guy wants to grab a hold of him, they're in a car or something like that, like we see here, then he is quite vulnerable. Now notice here he's at least paying attention, that our dude sees that there's somebody coming. He puts his phone, tries to put his phone in his pocket here because he's seeing his world. And remember, attention buys you time and time buys you options. And so therefore, that's one of the big reasons I say, pay attention to your world. Now, as far as this car coming up, we see this pretty often and we see it all over the place, including in the US, that we see guys that are just roving around in a car looking for an easy victim, quick score, so that they can score a few bucks and do all the stuff that you'd normally expect robbers to do with money. Now then, these guys start piling out of the car, and there are at least 5 of them in the car, and now you notice that, okay, wait a minute, it's all these guys, and they start yelling, give it up, and he sees there's multiples, and he just gives up the money right here. Now, of course, if this guy had been prepared, if this guy had been armed against multiple attackers coming at him, hollering at him, threatening to hurt him, would he be justified to draw a firearm here? I think the answer to that, because of the multiple attackers, is probably yes, because of the significant disparity of force. But the reality is he just doesn't have it. So he gives it up, and notice that they're gonna then shake him down. He's totally compliant here. Okay, man, let me give you all this stuff. That's fine, whatever. I'm not giving you a hard time. I'm just gonna go lay down here on the concrete. You've got your stuff. I'm not a problem to you. But even with that, this big dude in white here comes over and whacks him in the head. Compliance is a strategy, but do not expect it to lead to you not getting hurt. There's plenty of studies out there that even women who are, the attempts of rape, that if they fight back, they're no more likely to be hurt fighting back than they would if they didn't fight back. Now, against a mob of guys like this trying to take your wallet or whatever, I'm not saying it's the right thing to fight back, but I am saying that giving in and complying here did not prevent this guy, A, from losing all his stuff, and B, from getting smacked upside the head anyways, which was pretty mild, all things considered. Okay, smacked him upside the head. It's not the end of the universe. But we see in the second one that it can get much worse. Dude just walks right up and grabs a hold of the phone. Now, this is what we call a strong arm robbery. Because of the disparity of size here, this bigger, stronger, faster guy just says, I want your stuff. Now, he doesn't have to brandish a weapon or anything like that. He just says, this is mine now, and there's nothing you're gonna do about it. Again, it's called a strong arm robbery. And who do bad guys look for in strong arm robberies? They look for weaker, smaller, older people that they can and victimize people who are vulnerable populations. So recognize these kinds of things can happen to you, and especially if you're in a vulnerable population, pay attention to your world. Now the guy he says, I'm sure, hey man, that's my phone, give me my phone back, and guy just punches him right in the face. Again, our dude here didn't resist much. He just held onto his phone. The guy grabbed his phone from him. And when he said anything in return, guy just turns and drills him right in the face. Compliance does not guarantee your safety. And in fact, it might even give him an even harder thing and give him any kind of verbals like that. And he says, oh yeah, is that how it is? It takes it as an offense. And now the fight is on. It turns into social violence that you have to pay for the offense of not giving him what he wants and not being an ATM. Notice the second punch as well. And I want you to see kind of the body language of this perp at the end. To this perp, that victim is nothing but an ATM. He is just a source of revenue and a source of something that the bad guy can use to go and buy what he wants or go and get what he wants. And that's how bad guys work. They don't care about you. None of the perpetrators in this instance gave a darn about either of the victims in this instance. And that's how criminal violence works, friends, which is why you need to have the attitude, the skills, and the plan to protect yourself. Because compliance isn't a foolproof strategy, and to have other options available to you so that you are ready in that moment to cover your ass is the only choice, in my opinion.